Hi, 7th graders. Today we are going to be looking at some surface area of composite prism problems. And so the surface area of a composite prism is the sum of the areas of all bases and all faces of each basic solid. So we are going to be looking at solid shapes that are kind of made up of more than one type of prism. So when we're doing this, we just want to be careful not to include any overlapping faces, okay, or faces that are not on the outside. So for example, here we have a composite prism. So you can think of this kind of as like a little house. And so we have a triangular prism on top of a rectangular prism. And so I'm actually going to start first kind of by splitting this and demonstrating a little bit more what this how this house might be broken apart. So I'm going to go ahead and split that, and I'm going to write in some dimensions too. So this distance of that line that I just drew, that would be 14. Here we also know that from the bottom to the very top is 16. But if I just then care about the part of the triangle, then that would be 6. So because the entire thing is 16 from here to here, but I know the part of the rectangular prism goes up to 10, that tells me that this triangular prism has a height there of 6, or the triangle has a height of 6. And so I'm going to go ahead and write in a couple of other numbers too. So I know that this is 9, I know that this is 10. I'm just kind of transferring some numbers to different side lengths so that it's easier for me to be doing the math here in a minute. So first we're going to look at the second floor of this house, okay? And so when we look at this house, the second floor is made out of that triangular prism. And so because I'm not going to worry about the bottom, because it's sitting on top of that rectangular prism, the second floor, I have 2 triangles and 2 rectangles. So for my triangles, I need to figure out the area. So again, we use our area formula. So A equals 1/2 base times height. And so when I just look to figure out the area of that triangle, I'm going to plug in what I know. So I have 1/2, the base is 14, and the height of that triangle is 6. And so when I go ahead and solve what 1/2 times 14 times 6 is, I get 42. All right, but remember we actually have 2 triangles, so the front and the back of that are both going to be the same. So I'm going to go ahead and double that. So I get 84 units squared for the 2 triangles. So now I'm going to go ahead and look at the rectangular parts of that triangular prism. So kind of like the roof, okay? So I have 2 rectangles. They're going to be equal on this particular problem. And so I'm going to do 9 times 10 would give me the length and the width of the rectangle. So 9 times 10 is 90. And again, I'm going to have both sides of my roof are going to be have that same area. So I can go ahead and double that and get 180 units squared. So right now I have the roof done. Okay, so now we're just looking at kind of that first floor. And the first floor is the rectangular prism. So first let's look at the front and the back of the rectangular prism. And so when I say front, I'm talking about this rectangle right there. So the dimensions of that, A is going to equal length times width. So I'm going to do 10 times 14, which equals 140. 140 times 2, because it's the front, is congruent or equal to the back. And so I get 280 units squared for the front and the back. Now I'm going to look at the left and right of that first floor. And so when I'm looking there, that's going to be like this green one here. So again, it's a rectangle, so length times width. So we're going to do 10 times 10, which is 100. The left and the right side are both congruent, so I'm going to go ahead and double that. So I get 200 units squared. And then the last part we have to do is just the bottom. And again, we're not doing the top because when we look at the house, the bottom of the triangular prism and the top of the rectangular prism are not on the outside of the shape, so we don't need to add those in. So now when I look at the bottom, it's going to be a 14 by 10. So again, that's going to be a rectangle. So we're going to do our length times our width, so 14 times 10 is going to give me 140 units squared. And so now all of these numbers we just came up with, we're going to add them all up. So we would add our, for the second floor of our prism, we had the 84 and the 180. And then for the first floor, we had the 280, the 200, and the 140. And so when we add those all up all together, we're going to end up with 884 units squared. And so the overall surface area of that composite prism is going to be 884 units squared. So as you are working through some of these problems, you just want to make sure that you kind of break it down into smaller chunks so that you understand what you're finding the area of. Have a great day.